webinar is about how do you get to do more when you have a newly launched venture. When you are new, when you have a new organization, as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of to-do lists and there is never enough time. And on these to-do lists, you have things that you want to do, and then there are things that you have to do. So in today's webinar, we'll hear some insights about how can you get to do more of the things that you want to do and less of the things that you have to do. And to provide these valuable insights, we have invited Trista Van Tine, the Executive Director of Michigan Founders Fund. Trista, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you, Swati. It's nice to chat with you this afternoon. Appreciate it. And I just want to also mention that GDI has really been such an instrumental organization in the community locally for, like you said, 30 years, for many years. But one thing I really appreciate about the company is that you all invest back into the community and serve on nonprofit boards, and that's really important. So just thank you for doing that. So my name's Trista Van Tine. I co-founded and run, at least until the end of this month, Michigan Founders Fund, which is a nonprofit venture development organization that supports high growth founders from every part of the state of Michigan. We want to help them find fellowship and be successful in building their companies, as well as get more engaged in the communities where they live and operate. And we do this primarily through a variety of different programs and events that take place throughout the state annually. So to date, we have 134 high growth members in our network, and our members have collectively raised over $350 million in funding. So we're really proud of the members here. It just shows how amazing the innovation economy is here in Michigan. Yes, so good starting point, because so Michigan Founders Fund, we are a nonprofit, but we were basically a nonprofit startup organization ourselves when we began the work. And that means that we were a brand new 501c3. We started with a little bit of seed funding from a donor, which is like a seed investor helping a for-profit startup get off the ground. And like any startup, the co-founder of that organization, which was me in that role, is always playing multiple roles and wearing lots of different hats. And that included managing the financial accounting. And that was okay for the first couple years as we were establishing ourselves and had fewer income sources and more limited programming. But the ultimate goal of any, mission-driven organization is to have impact and to grow. And that meant I needed to focus my energy on program design and deployment. I needed to manage stakeholder relationships and fundraising, and then, focus on hiring and managing the team. So as our organization activity increased in those different areas, my, to put it nicely, I guess, my ad hoc book management was, one, not good enough, and two, not really sustainable. So that's why it was really important that, came time to engage with GDI, to take over that financial accounting support role. Yeah, so personally, finance and accounting part of running an organization are definitely not what fills my cup. It's not the thing I like to do, or that I'm the best at, for sure. So I was very happy to entrust that to someone else. And in the case of GDI, it's a team of support, a team of someone's that are supporting. So we decided that, when you all were brought on board to handle the financial accounting, that also included supporting our financial control processes and documentation, our invoicing processes, and bookkeeping to help us remain in good standing with some of our income sources. We, as a nonprofit, receive grant funding from federal and state sources and private foundations. And in that world, they often expect specific reporting of expenses. So GDI has been really great to help with that too. So being able to offload that piece to the GDI team was really tremendously valuable to me and the organization, because it actually just freed up so much more of my time in a leadership role. And by standardizing the processes and doing so at a reasonable cost, it also kept the organization really healthy. Well, working with you, Swati, is a joy. Clearly, obviously, you're one of the most patient people that I know. And the entire team that supports us has been really awesome since day one. So, Andy, Haley, Jana, just all great. So the GDI team, you all jumped right in. You delivered things in a timely manner for us, and your response times to like needs and requests that might come through. Because again, as a startup, we can't plan everything ahead. So I will send lots of emails that maybe you weren't expecting, and the responses were great. So the other thing I would say is, in working with you, you all started during our like heavy season for MFF in terms of accounts payable and receivable, because we had a lot of financial sponsorships to manage for Michigan Tech Week.
Yeah.
We had an equal number of vendor payments that needed to be managed and grant reports due. So really, I don't know what I would have done if we hadn't brought GDI on and outsourced that work, because it would have been too much. So the reason for us that it made sense to outsource to GDI instead of looking for a full-time person was because we are still a small enough organization that we don't need a full-time finance employee. And because the cadence of our financial activity is predictable enough that having an outsourced team available to manage those ebbs and flows was just much more cost effective, while providing the same level of benefits really that we would have gotten from a new hire. So I imagine, even though MFF continues to grow every day, and long term we're going to have more people in the team and the organization, um, that, and maybe hopefully one day we'll have an endowment too as part of our financial model. But having a team like GDI in place would then still just provide that supplemental and admin support for a finance executive when the time comes for
Yeah.
MFF to have that person in the team. Well, the top three challenges that high growth startup entrepreneurs in Michigan face, that's the group that we really focus on serving, are capital, getting access to capital, having enough capital, fundraising. It's always number one, right? Customers, getting support and commercializing their companies and their products, and getting those alpha customers, so they can get those, revenue.
Yeah.
um, and then connections to influential people that can continue to help them, and also talent. Um, so even though those three things aren't, you're not hearing those and thinking directly of financial accounting, the reality is when a small team and the leadership of that team needs to go out and raise money and needs to go
Yeah.
out and secure customers and contracts, they cannot be burdened with spending their time on all of the admin work that's involved with the
Yeah.
finance,
Reporting.
yeah, with the back end and with the accounting. So just having a team that's dedicated to managing that for them, so they can actually then go and secure all those other things, is huge. So those are the things that founders face here, or and anywhere, I would say. And
Yeah.
that's why, I feel that this is really a beneficial service.
Right. And my next question was going to be about what, why do you think this financial accounting, outsourcing, back office support, this service from GDI makes sense to other entrepreneurs? And I think you kind of alluded, but any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll just double down on what I just said, but then also something I mentioned a little earlier too, that from my experience, most founders and executives that are starting a new organization, whether it's a for-profit or nonprofit, don't typically personally come with the experience and skill set in financial accounting. So that's not going to be their strength, and it's not going to be their passion usually.
Yes. I
So
think that passion is the main important thing. Yep.
right. So that's the other thing I would just double down on, that this having an outsourced team who it is their strength and their passion is just, a huge value add.
And thank you again, Trista. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for chatting with us here, and have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and best of luck for your next venture.
Thanks, Swati.
Bye-bye.